Hello and welcome to this vlog post. I'm narrator Rebecca McKernan, and in today's vlog I will be sharing with you the second in the books I've created for author Sunanda J Chatterjee. She takes a lot of inspiration from Indian culture and tradition and India itself. The first book of hers that I created into audiobook form, Shadowed Promise, was set in between Beijing, that's the wrong country completely, Delhi even, and California. And this second book, which I believe is her most popular book in print, Fighting for Tara, is set in between Rajasthan and San Francisco, mostly. Sunanda has the most beautiful, poetic way of writing, and Fighting for Tara is no exception. It's really gorgeously written, and of the two, actually, this I think is my favourite, although both books, Shadowed Promise and Fighting for Tara, are really beautiful. I wouldn't always class myself as a romance fan, but Sunanda J Chatterjee, she tempts me. But that's enough rubbish out of my mouth. Let me read the back of the book to you. So this is the blurb for Fighting for Tara. How far will a mother go? Excuse me, hay fever. How far will a mother go to save her child? I have no use for a baby girl. Get rid of her tonight. He towered over her as she cringed in fear. But Hansa, a 13-year-old child bride in rural India, refuses to remain a victim of the oppressive society where a female child is an unwanted burden. Instead of drowning her baby, Hansa escapes from her village with 3-month-old Tara. Hansa soon discovers that life as a teenage mother is fraught with danger, but a single lie opens the door to a promising opportunity far from home. Just 7 years later, Hansa finds herself fighting for Tara's life once more, this time in an American court, with a woman she calls Mother. Will the lie upon which Hansa built her life defeat its own purpose? How can she succeed when no one believes the truth? A story of two mothers, two daughters, and a fight to save a child. Fighting for Tara explores the depths of love and motherhood. I was wondering if I should read you the reviews, but I think I'll let you make your own reviews. Let me read to you, however, the first couple of pages from Sunanda J Chatterjee's Fighting for Tara. Excuse me reading off my phone. 1. Rajasthan, India. The soft light of the lantern flickered, casting a dim golden glow in the tiny hut as shadows danced on its windowless mud walls. 13-year-old Hansa squatted on the floor beside a metal bucket and stared at the glimmering water, dreading the task before her. Her baby whimpered on the floor, struggling in the hand-sewn cloth blanket. Beside the door stood the terracotta urn that held the ashes of her husband. Hansa heard the grating snores of her drunken brother-in-law Baldev, soon to be her husband, as he slept outside on the wood-framed coir-cot in the moonless night. She shuddered. Just an hour ago, Baldev had yelled at her, "I have no use for a baby girl. Get rid of her tonight." He towered over her as she cringed in fear. She'd begged him, "I can't do it." That's when he'd slapped her. No one had ever hit her before, not even her elderly husband. Hansa touched her cheek, which still stung from the humiliation and fear. She doubted her courage to extinguish the baby's life. Squeezing her eyes shut, she took a deep breath, hoping that dawn would bring her luck. Tomorrow morning, Hansa would travel with Baldev and all the goats they could load into his bullock cart, and leave the village forever. She would go to a distant land, become Baldev's second wife, learn the household chores from his first wife, and bear him male heirs. Hansa shivered, apprehensive about her future. How would his first wife treat her? Would she be cruel, or would she be kind, knowing that neither woman had a choice but to endure the customs of their feudal society? but to endure the customs of their feudal society. Would Baldev force himself on her on the first night of their marriage, as her husband had done 2 years ago? She had learned to block her mind during the repulsive act, but she hoped Baldev would not demand it often. But before her new life could begin, she and Baldev would take a detour to the river to disperse her husband's ashes and discard her beautiful daughter's body. Somewhere deep in her heart, Hansa knew none of this was fair. It wasn't fair that in a country with a rich heritage of brave queens, where the people had elected a female prime minister not too long ago, young girls were still forced into marriage, sometimes to men older than their grandfathers. It wasn't fair that a girl child was considered a burden on parents. It wasn't fair that she'd been born to poor parents in rural Rajasthan, a state rife with archaic traditions. It wasn't fair that she had matured early and was given to 60-year-old Gyanchad Rathore from the neighbouring village of Dharni, whose first wife and child had died in a fire. She clutched at the heart-shaped locket that hung from a chain at her throat. Gyani, as her husband had liked her to call him, had loved her in his own way, and as long as she cooked and cleaned and worked in the fields, he'd allowed her freedoms uncommon to most child brides in the village. He was kind and gentle, and over time she grew to love him too. When her parents died, Gyani had consoled her, rocking her in his arms like he would a child. She remembered the soft, sweet taste of the cotton candy he'd bought for her at the village fair that day, and when she begged for the locket with the secret chamber, he had spent all the money he'd earned from selling his old goat. They didn't have money for a gem to place in the chamber, but the locket hung around her neck ever since, empty of adornments, but full of promise. A promise that had remained unfulfilled, because now he was gone. She turned her face away from the bucket, her heart refusing to carry out Baldev's orders just yet. A shiver ran through her body as she tried not to imagine life without her baby. Think of something else. Her brother-in-law's village was 3 hours away by bullock cart. She wondered if his land was as big as hers was, and if his village had a marble palace like Dharni did. Sorry, I'm so used to repeating things after myself when I'm recording them and then editing them out later that I often forget to do that when I'm making a vlog. I would really like to read you more of that book. There's not really an appropriate point at which to break it in the first chapter, so I'm just going to leave it there. That gives you a taste of Sunanda J Chatterjee's Fighting for Tara. It's really, really beautiful. It's a lovely, gorgeously written book, and you can listen to it on iTunes, Audible and Amazon. Was I supposed to say anything else? Don't know. This video, as ever, will be unedited. You're lucky. You're very welcome. I am narrator Rebecca McKernan. You can find me at Facebook and Twitter at Becca Tells Tales and at www.rebeccamckernan.com. Thank you for your patience and for listening, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.